Alright guys, what's going on? Welcome back. It is episode number 8 of the Leeds United career mode, the season finale today, where as you can see with 10 games to go. 34 points on the board on the back of the draw with Nottingham Forest, 7 clear of Leicester in 18th place. But the chance of us reaching Europe, basically impossible. I mean, there was an even bigger gap than those points separating us and Leicester. So with 10 games to go, we kind of already felt like we were safe. And I discussed in the last episode, I said in the last episode how, 40 points is always the magic marker. If you get to 40 points in the Premier League, you are safe. You can count on one hand the amount of times. In all the years the Premier League's been about, you can count on one hand the amount of times 40 points has not been enough to survive. So 40 points is the magic marker, but really we know it's more like a 36, 37 points. With 10 games to go, the likelihood of us losing all of those games was incredibly unlikely. And so with the final 10 games, it's kind of like, right, well, how do we motivate ourselves for this? Because the season is coming to its close, and we feel as though we're on the beach right now. And it's something which I think a lot of clubs really struggle with, And this year, every single season, there are teams that are in mid-table that aren't going to be a European team, but also aren't going to go down in the final few games, and they just don't have anything to play for. And it's a really kind of weird end to a season where it's totally anticlimactic. And I've got to be honest, if you're a manager, I don't know how you get your boys psyched up. I really, really don't. Yes, of course, there are things like win bonuses, and the higher you finish, the higher bonus you can get paid out. The financial incentive is still there. But when it comes down to trophies or European qualification or survival, when nothing's on the line, how do you motivate yourself for that? So again, with 10 games to go, we were kind of feeling a bit like Wolves were this year, or Bournemouth, or Crystal Palace. There were games to go, but it was like, we got nothing to play for. There's nothing to do. We know we ain't going to go down, let's be honest here, and we can't qualify for Europe either. Wolves this year were probably the best example of this. I mean, okay, sure, at the start of the season, the first half of the year, okay, they were poor, and there was a lot of, doubts that they might well end up going down. It will be a shock. No one would have thought at the start of the season. It was definitely a possibility, if you will, at the start of the campaign. It got off to a quite poor start. I think obviously the arrival of I can never pronounce his name, Julian. I can't pronounce it. Lopetegui. I can't pronounce the surname. But obviously when they brought in the iconic Spanish manager, Julian, who I'll call Julian, they all managed to pull themselves away. And once they got away, there was never any doubt they were going to get sucked back into the mixer and end up going down. Palace were the same. I said this with Palace, like when they sacked Vieira and brought in Hodgson with about, again, 10 games to go, I was like, I don't think they were going to go down anyway. And of course, yes, of course, it's easy to say that, knowing that Palace in the end survived really comfortably under Roy Hodgson, but I don't think they were going to go down anyway. Okay, fair enough, Hodgson steadied the ship, if you will, and steered them to safety. But the same with Palace, where like once they got survival, and I think to me with Palace, you see there 8 games to go with 9 points behind West Ham. We ain't going to catch them, and they got the better goals record as well. Plus it's Newcastle ahead of us as well, and that win at the Etihad there, that shock win at the Etihad, confirmed our safety now, getting the 37 points. For Palace, when they got that big, I think it was 5-1 win against Leeds, it was 5-1 against Leeds last season on a Hodgson, that after that game, there was still several matches left, but Palace were like, what are we going to do now? Like, we're not going down. We ain't going to get back in a relegation scrap. We can't qualify for Europe. How do we close out the season from here? And it's basically been the same with us with this Leeds team now. Now we've done it. That win against Man City, that confirmed it. We bottled the game against Newcastle, lost it 2-1 in stoppage time, but went to the Etihad, didn't expect to get anything from the game, and ended up winning it by 2-0. Amazing victory. Probably my biggest shock victory so far to say so far. But once I got it, I was like, right, cool. Now what? 8 games to go. Yes, okay, there's the very slim possibility of Europe. It's a 9-point gap, and there's so many teams ahead of us. It's not going to happen. Let's be realistic here. And after a 2-0 loss at home to Burnley, and then the goalless draw at Molineux, when there was 6 games remaining, and I was just sitting there thinking, I'd be totally fine if the season ended now. I'll be totally fine if there's another COVID pandemic and the season gets suspended and finalised early, because there's nothing we can do now. We're just destined to finish in a mid-table place. But yeah, for the following game, we took on Chelsea, and I said this as well in a recent episode. People do ask me, why do you play every game, or how do you play every game? How do you find the motivation to do it? Well, even though there was no chance for setting a record, there was still the very slim possibility of a European place. There was also a chance of finishing the top 10 in our first year in the Premier League as well. It's a chance for fringe players, play some fringe players, you know, get some individual stats up. Bamford at this point was going for the assist title. Marek Rodak was going for the Golden Gloves. There were individual things to worry about as well. But as I often say as well, like, you play the game however you want to play it, man. Like, seriously, I don't like gatekeeping in any community. You play the game however you want to play it. But even so, yeah, we took on Chelsea at Ellen Road for the following game here. And to be fair, it did kind of feel like we were at CANCUN right now, because I mean the performances were so poor, and I just really was going into every game thinking, of course you want to win. Like, you want to win every single game, obviously, but it's not a big deal if you lose every single game from here, because you ain't going to go down with 37 points and we're now 38 points on the board after the draw against Wolves. So, yeah, it did feel like that. You know, 1-2-3 CANCUN. We're on the beach right now. You know, we are on the beach, and I suppose some clubs can relate to that this year. Again, Bournemouth, after they secured safety under Gary O'Neill, who was my manager of the year, you know, for the final few games, it was like, what do we do? Like, you know, we're safe. What do? We defied our expectations, but what are we going to play for now? That's why they had such a slump at the end of the season, because when they had nothing to play for, it was done. It was safe. Same with, again, Palace. Hodgson comes in, ship steady, steered to safety. Well, now what do? We've got nothing to do. Nothing to go for in the final few games. Wolves, the exact same. Nothing to go for. And that's exactly how it's felt. I felt like Palace. I felt like Wolves. I felt like Bournemouth. Safety's done. I suppose West Ham as well. Of course, West Ham were going for the Europa Conference League, which he ended up winning. But at least in the Premier League, you know, nothing to play for now. We're done. We're done, mate. I'm already thinking about next season, the transfers I want to make in the summer window. But anyway, on the back loss to Chelsea there, to be fair, I did need to sort it out. We were really struggling at this point. We'd only won one of our last 7 games in all competitions. So for the following game, taking on Brighton, I was thinking, we've got to get this sorted, man. We've got to get back to winning ways. Because the fact that so far in our last, again, 6 or 7 games, the only team I've beaten is Man City away. How typical FIFA career mode is that? I mean, I've got to get this sorted, because my form, to be fair, has been really, really shocking. Took on Brighton, battling for safety themselves, fell behind, but got our level through Dan James later on. And for the following game, Brentford, they've already been relegated at this point in the series. So taking on Brentford here, Thomas Frank's side, I was thinking, well, I need to at least get a win, because I've gone from feeling like, you know, Wolves, Crystal Palace and Bournemouth, and now it's kind of feeling like Chelsea. Like, seriously, honestly, I can't buy a win right now. Frank Lampard, I think was it the only win he got in his second stint at Chelsea in the league against Bournemouth away, I think. Shock horror, another team that were basically on the beach at that point. So I was kind of feeling a bit like Chelsea at this point. I was like, well, look, we ain't going to go down, obviously. Chelsea weren't going to go down. We mathematically can't reach Europe. Chelsea can mathematically reach Europe. But we might not win between now and the end of the season. We've got to at least play for some pride, if nothing else. I think that's the thing that Chelsea were most frustrated about this season. And what has been a really frustrating season for Chelsea fans. You know, so for my best mate's a Chelsea fan, we talk about it all the time, like, in a really, really tough season for Chelsea. No one's going to deny it. Obviously, the sacking of Thomas Tuchel was the worst decision that could have been made by that club there. But I think just the kind of give-upness from Chelsea in the final stage of the season was just really disappointing to see. For a team of that reputation, for players of that calibre, to kind of just sort of throw in the towel in the final, like, 10, 15 games was a bit... Do you know what I mean? It was just a bit disappointing, really, to be honest here. For a team like Chelsea, you wouldn't expect that, you know. But even so, it was definitely feeling like that for me at this point. I was like, okay, I've got to at least play for pride here. Do you know what I mean? I've got to at least play for pride. I haven't won since that Man City game. It's been my only win in, again, the past 6 or 7 games. I don't want to go through to the end of the season without having another win. So, following game, Brentford, really, really topsy-turvy game. Fell behind, got back on level terms, fell behind, got back on level terms. And then with 15 minutes to go here, looking for our first win at Ellen Road in God knows how long we would get it. Dan James, sent through by Patrick Bamford, rounds the keeper, puts him on the floor, and then dinks it into the open goal. Absolutely love rounding the goalkeeper now. It's so fun, man. Honestly, if I'm going through one-on-one now, 9 times out of 10 I'm going to try and round that goalkeeper. But even so, Dan James gets the winner. And in the end, our top 2 players of our championship winning season last year combined for the goals that gave us the win, which now saw us get to the magic 40-point marker. But as you can see, 3 games to go. We are now 12 points behind Newcastle, so mathematically we couldn't catch them. We're obviously well clear of the bottom 3 at this point, so we weren't going to go down. So again, 3 games to go. I'm sort of sitting there thinking, well, I guess I could sim the games if I wanted to, but I did want to try and get banned for the assist title, and also Marek Rodak at the Golden Glove as well. So following game, penultimate away day of the season, Aston Villa at Villa Park. Oh my god, that was so close. I couldn't wait to show you this, man. 28 minutes in, Patrick Bamford going for goal. David Beckham versus Wimbledon style, just inside his own half. Gets so much whip on the ball. Look at the whip on that. It's like whipped cream. And I don't know what that means. And loops over the goalkeeper, but hits the top of the crossbar and goes behind for a goal kick. I want to do it just one more time before I retire from YouTube as a husk of a content creator. I want to do it just one more time. Please, FIFA gods. FIFA 14, Nathaniel Klein. The only time I've ever done it. Lobbing the keeper from the halfway line. Or just inside my own half. I want it just one more time. FIFA gods, please, just one more time. So what I'm asking, one more time, please, just one more time. So that's the closest I've come. That's the closest I've come for at least 2 years. Closest I've come that. So close. Already, the other closest time I came was when I hit the ball for Frankie de Jong. I was doing a realistic summer career mode, and I was managing Barca, and I hit the bar with Frankie de Jong from the halfway line. Funny enough, in a Champions League semi-final of all games. But even so, that's the closest I've come since then. Off the crossbar and behind for a goal kick. So close, man. So close. But anyway, yeah, we drew the game 0-0, and then the following game, Spurs away, North London, trying to stop the rot here, and we got ourselves a draw against Spurs as well. Fell behind through Richarlison, not struggling as much in the save here, taken over from Harry Kane, who's moved on from Spurs at this point. And then we've got our leveler through Matt O'Reilly. And speaking of Matt O'Reilly, well, I thought I got close in the last game, I'll try again. This time, not too far over, but not quite as close as the game against Villa there. Just over the bar, onto the roof of the net, game finished 1-1. So, yeah, back-to-back draws and a win as well. So, no loss in our last three, and there we go. Pride restored, stemmed the flow, and that would mean on the final game against Everton, we would secure a top 10 finish if we would win the final day at Ellen Road. Taking on the Toffees, they themselves needed to win to stay up, and I was so close to scoring my second free goal to save as well. Patrick Bamford, who scored so far the first and only one hitting the post, it was still 0-0. Again, nothing for us to play for in the final day, but Bamford could win the assist title. Rodak couldn't get the golden glove at this point, but Bamford could get the assist title, so I still wanted to play it and try and get him that if I could. But Everton needed to win and hope results would go their way in order to stay up. So, yeah, big game here. And like I said, one reason why I like to play the game, sim this game wouldn't feel right, you know, and knowing that one team could well go down dependent on the result. But anyway, we fell behind. Gator Budweiser Christensen and Mauro Icardi, the Argentine, fired the Toffees in front. 1-0, Sean Dyche's side looking to survive on the final day for the second season in what would be free in the save. But yeah, we got back a little turn through Dan James, 38 minutes in. It was assist for Bamford as well, dinking the ball to the far post, and Dan James heading in on the goal line. Was going to miss from there as it makes it 1-1. And then in the second half, they tied at 1-1. Everton, like I said, needed to win this game in order to stay out. Sorry, right before the break even. Crescencio Somerville, the press from behind, wins it back. Corey flicks onto Bamford. Quick header to Somerville. And I'll be honest here, I knew at this point Bamford was going for the assist title. So, yeah, I could have just cut the ball back and across the goal to Matt O'Reilly. I was like, no, I want to see Bamford win the assist title for the second year in a row. So I went all the way from the halfway line. A header assist from inside his own half. First time that'll ever happen, I'm sure. But yeah, Somerville goes coast to coast and slots it home for his 5th of the season. So yeah, Leeds in front for the first time, 2-1. And in the 64th minute again, I was just going for assist for Patrick Bamford, really. 64 minutes into the game, chips the ball over the top and picks out Calvin Phillips for his second assist of the game. So it was O'Reilly who got the first assist, not Bamford. But even so, yeah, second assist for Bamford. And like I said, I just wanted to get him that assist title. In the end, I got him 2, and the game would finish by 3-1. So final day, as you see, Arsenal champions, Chelsea, Man City and Liverpool top 4. Red Devils going to the Europa League. Newcastle joined them, and Spurs finished in 7th place with 61 points. So no shocks there. The Big 6 and also now Newcastle, part of that crop, are the top 7. We would in the end finish 10th place, a top 10 finish. We lost more games than 1 this year, but 56 goals, 57 conceded and 47 points on the board. For season 1, I would definitely take that. And the bottom 3 in the end were Everton, Brentford, who are rock bottom basically all season long, and Brighton as well. Brighton are going down to the Championship. So Romelu Lukaku won the Golden Boot for Chelsea. Will it happen in real life? I guess we'll have to wait and see. Bamford in the end, as you'll see after my heroic efforts on the final day, joined the assist title race and ended up sort of like joint winning it, if you will. Marek Rodak didn't win the Golden Glove, they went to Jose Sa. But as you see, the winners this year in the Cups, Man City won a domestic cup double. First win the Carabao Cup, beating West Ham, who knocked out the quarter-finals. And then in the FA Cup final as well, they won that by beating Newcastle in the final. So a domestic cup double for Man City, if not an iconic treble this year. Championship, I always say, takes a pinch of salt. Bournemouth and Luton apparently are up automatically. And in the playoffs, you would have seen there as well. But again, take it with a pinch of salt. Inter Milan, Europa Conference League winners, beating Real Betis. Fiorentina came up short to Porto in the Europa League final. And as for the Champions League as well, there were no English teams in the final four of all three European competitions. Very interesting indeed. But in the end, it was a Real Madrid PSG final, and Real Madrid won it on penalties. So there you go, season done. The final thing I decided to do was give Cody Drammer a new contract, up 4 ratings this year after coming back from his loan spell from Luton Town, out of contract come the end of the season. I said he'd play for a contract this year. He didn't play that much. Christensen was starting right back. It was a backup, growing 4 ratings, only 22 years old, homegrown as well. I'm going to keep him. So Cody Drammer stays. But for next season, what will we do? Leeds remaining in the Premier League in the top 10. But for next year, I'm going to try and get us into the top 7. We're definitely good enough to do that. We're a 4.5-star team now. We'll get a decent budget in the summer, I'm sure. Question is, where do we strengthen? Do we place Bamford up top, look for a new striker? Do we look for a new goalkeeper to replace Marek Rodak, who's quite error-prone? I guess we'll have to wait and see. But that will end today's episode of the Leeds United Career, guys. If you found watching season 2, if you have enjoyed it, please do drop a like. Most of you all have a fantastic day, and I'll see you for a brand new season, our 3rd year at Ellen Road with Leeds United very soon.